If you guys don't already know, every Friday we go live here at the Compass Tower to help marketers get better at marketing and marketing themselves, learn a bit about everything that is possible in the world of marketing, and to catch up on the kind of the latest trends and the latest news. So I've pulled out a few things I think I want to talk about. I want to give you guys some updates, but at the same time, introduce you yet again to Live from the Compass Tower. I'm Brady GILLMAN. I've been a marketer for 15 years, specializing in digital marketing, email marketing, social media marketing, video media creation, podcasting, website management, all those things. So I've done a bit of everything in almost every industry, and I'm happy to help you solve all of your needs. And if you have any questions, I'd love to hear them in chat and to get to know you a little bit better. This is a safe space on the internet for everybody to join in and talk about what is the greatest and latest in the world of marketing. And if you need help, I'm happy to help you. I can provide any kind of consulting or services that you might need, and I would love to hear from you. So you can visit me at compass-tower.com and, of course, on LinkedIn and Twitter and here on Twitch. Also, I've been uploading all of the VODs and video clips to YouTube. You can find me on YouTube at Compass Tower Digital Marketing. That's enough self-promotion for now. Okay, so here's my website. Spent a lot of time working on this, trying to refine it. I get really wordy, as you can tell. I get really wordy out of excitement, in my ADHD type thing. So here's where I've landed. And I would love to get any of your feedback on it. It's where I'm at, what I'm trying to do. And this ties into some of our topics later on. Here, like I said, the Compass Tower is a safe space for everybody to connect but talk about marketing. And I want to be able to help marketers make amazing in-house digital content. Sounds pretty simple, right? So marketers at companies making content in-house, right? So for things like videos, podcasts, social media of all kinds, email, all of that stuff I would consider digital content. And I feel like marketers would understand that as well. And a lot of times they stumble over their own feet. And I feel like I have a big enough outside perspective that I can share that with people. So this is where I've landed. You're an amazing marketer, but you're too busy to make amazing online content. Let's learn to make it easy. So then I have a button that's telling me about what you're making. And this is some of the technical stuff that I'm still struggling with a bit. But as we move down, here's who I've helped. Honestly, this is people I've helped. The companies I've helped. Blue Vista Institute, which is a healthcare consulting firm. Inland Kenworth, which is a semi-truck dealership that's in the United States and Canada. Pristine Auction, which is an online sports memorabilia auction house. Louis Roca is a law firm, which I previously had worked at. And Terralex, which is a global kind of lawyer network thing. And I did at one of their international conferences, I provided a video intro for them. And it was a big hit. Everybody loved it. And here's kind of my calls to action. I teach you how to simplify your marketing, content creation process, and you can focus on your customers' needs by creating amazing online content. So compelling videos and live streams, story-driven podcasts, exciting email campaigns, engaged social media communities. That way you can create what your customers need, share, and purchase more. So there's a couple of options. I want to keep it super straightforward. You can work with me or we can learn together. Work with me, right now it's just a contact button. Sorry. It's just a contact button. Learn together is going to drive you to places like this, where I'm putting out content for free so that people can enjoy and feel like they're participating in the community. And then here's a little bit about me. Let's see, I have to go this way. It's like the same picture. So it's just explaining a little bit about what I do. And I've added a few pages. I've got my Hire Me button. Again, it's all driving you here to my contact page, which is fine. And I've got my social channels on here, which is fine. The blog, this I'm not in love with. I would really like to be able to add a lot more like graphic interfaces and things like that. But here you can see like all of the recap videos and stuff like that. And I've found this awesome way to get like the transcript of it. It's super easy, which I love, and free, which is even better. And, maybe I'll make a video about how to do that. And I kind of love that. And I'm able to share all of my thoughts. And at the same time, I can have this kind of transcript of what I talk about in the video, because I want to make these videos kind of quick and short and fun. But like, I can come back and I can see what I had said, and then I can highlight what parts I think are really interesting and important. So in this one, I'm going to be 100% who I am. Awesome. Love it. That's the kind of advice I want to give people. Make it big with LinkedIn Live. So awesome little transcript. And I said some smart things and I felt pretty good about it. And so having that reaffirmation for me felt nice, which was cool. And I like where the blog is going. The videos, this takes you straight to YouTube, which is fine. And my promise to you is I will do a live stream every Friday. And I really would want to do that. But, how weekends are and how things come up and how it gets crazy. My promise to you is to try and get a video out to you every Monday, whether that's the VOD or one of these quick snippets. And I've tried to make a short, and I totally flubbed that. The formatting, I thought I had the formatting right, and I added some B-roll and things like that, and it just didn't. It for some reason I made a vertical video, but then when I exported it, it converted it back to non-vertical videos. I was a little confused, so I got to work on that. So next time I may make a different short issue and see where that takes me. But if you would love to subscribe, I would love to have you there. It would make me so happy and so proud to be able to do that. And speaking of YouTube and things I found out, so hold on, I got my notes from here from last week. So I asked everybody to follow me along on LinkedIn so that I could get to LinkedIn Live and LinkedIn newsletters, because I need 150 followers. So I thought, oh, okay, what else can I do? And based off of the videos I've already published and put on YouTube, and the amount of watch time that people have put into it, the interesting thing that I think is exciting for me is that they've already given me permission to do YouTube Lives. And I saw a really interesting graphic from Loco this morning, and then I may be able to find it if I pull it up. Loco retweeted something that said, okay, here's a comparison of my best live stream. Yeah, what is up with me? Excuse me. My best live stream. She was comparing, there was someone else that had tweeted this, and she was resharing it, as here's my best performance on Twitch and what it took to kind of get to a point of income. And here's my best month on YouTube, and it was a quarter of the time spent live streaming instead of on Twitch. It was on YouTube, because I think YouTube has a much better discoverability system built in with its live streaming versus Twitch, which is really tough because it all comes down to excuse me, I'm just full of bubbles today. It really comes down to like, okay, you've pulled your following from somewhere else onto Twitch. So kind of interesting. It was really kind of fun to see. And so anyway, so what I'm hoping is, if you would love to get to know me, get to know the videos, get to know the website, if you would like to hire me, this is a great place to start. Or you can contact me in any way you like. So that's kind of what I've been doing this last week. I applied to probably 50 jobs. I try and, because it takes a long time, find the job, apply the job, make a little like custom, what do they call this? Like cover letter, stuff like that. So it takes time, and that's the part I really dislike about like job hunting. Is like, because even if you do get through that first application process and it goes smoothly, like you have to have an interview, and it's like, man, like interviews are fine. I'll do your interviews, but like, man, it's tough. The other thing is I've tried to start making a list of people I'd like to do work with, have content kind of relationship, so I can make their content and they can kind of hire me freelance. I reached out to this one lady who's in a different law firm, who was just down the block from my last job, and they're hiring almost exactly the same job that I was doing, and I applied for that job, and I sent her an email and I said, hey, I would love to work for you here. there was a big chunk of the job that was like PR and press releases. I don't do that. So I said, look, the rest of this job, the other 70% of this job, I'm happy to do. And it was all like the website management, the email creation and newsletters, the podcasting and video, the, all of that stuff, the stuff that I love doing, the stuff that I'm good at. I'm like, I would love to do this for you freelance, and then you figure out on your own the PR stuff. I don't do PR. Social media management was the other thing that they mentioned. I haven't heard back from this lady yet, but it'd be nice. It'd be really interesting to see. So happy to connect with anybody. If you need that kind of services, let's connect. Okay, so moving on, and I'm going to try and break this out into a lot more things that are a little bit more interesting. So here, let's move on. If you can see this, I need to zoom in just a bit so everybody can see. Okay, so here, this is a thread from Ahrefs, which is an SEO type services firm. I think they're based out of Bangkok. Anyway, but they're one of the top. It's like that, and Moz and SEMrush, stuff like that. It's one of those like software programs that is just for SEO. And they put out a lot of like content on like how to use their product and what it's for, and they do a great job of like educating people. I haven't personally used their product, but I hear it's great. It's just never had a chance to. So here's some interesting statistics for 2023. These are all coming from Ahrefs and this thread. So if you'd like to, I can put the link in the show notes. So if you're looking for some fresh insight into content marketing, let's take a look. And content marketing is kind of like you're producing content to educate your potential buyers so they find you as a trusted source, and that increases the likelihood that they'll purchase your product. A lot of it's called inbound marketing, content marketing. It is far and away the best thing that has ever happened to like internet, and we've gotten to a point of like saturation. So here, number one here, and this is according to HubSpot's own research, 82% of marketers are actively investing in content marketing. Great, that's good news. 10% report not using content marketing. Okay. Also okay, there's different ways to do marketing. There's no wrong way to do marketing. 8% are unsure. 8% are unsure if their company uses content marketing. So the interesting thing that stood out to me is the 10% say we confidently do not use content marketing, and 8% said, I don't know. So you're telling me 20%, almost 20% of people are like, maybe, right? That seems like a little high. Content marketing is the baseline nowadays. You have to do content marketing if you want to be at least par level with the competition, because it's a way of educating and informing your audiences, but at the same time staying top of mind. It fulfills all of those funnel needs very easily, and you can do it all in-house because you know your product the best, you know your customers the best, and so a lot of marketers are able to do that fairly well. So moving on to number 2, 40% of B2B marketers, so business to business, have documented content strategy. 64% of the most successful B2B marketers have a documented content marketing strategy. And that comes from CMI Content, which is Content Marketing Institute. That's kind of like their specialty. So 40% say they have documented how they plan on doing content marketing. Number 3, we're going to move on. 69% of marketers actively invest time in SEO. It's one of those things. SEO has to be your baseline. It has to be the most interesting point that takes place. A lot of it behind the scenes, a lot of the metadata. Why can't I speak today? Metadata, all of that comes from behind the scenes. And you do a lot of it on the page as well. But you have to, like, this is baseline stuff that is like an investment into the most interesting. It's the most boring part of content creation, but actually has a huge impact in the long run of the content that you're producing. Okay, and again, from CMI, Content Marketing Institute, says, according to them, 67% of marketers say that content marketing generates demands and leads. Very true. It's a long process and it's convoluted and there's no right way to do it, but it does allow you to garner leads. It takes time to get that established and set up. 62% of marketers believe content marketing helps educate the audience. Absolutely, that's what it's designed to do. Because an educated audience is a trusting audience. 63% say that it helps build loyalty with existing clients and customers. And this is 100% true. When I was working at the law firm, this kind of trope would go around from our marketing and business development leaders. They would say the firm gets most of its new business from existing customers, right? So you'll be producing something, you'll be doing something. You have this customer. They've learned to grow and trust with you, and as you continue to go to them, say, okay, what else can we do? We can help you with this, this, and this, and this. They say, awesome, great, let's do that. So you're just continuing on the relationship in a way that's the most interesting. So 63% say it builds loyalty with existing customers. Okay, so if I have an existing customer, how am I continuing to support them? Let's say I'm doing some work for them, or they need to be buying a product from me. What am I doing to support them to continue to have that good relationship? And I read an interesting article that talks about how podcasting is one of the best ways to maintain an existing client relationship, because you're continuing to express your expertise, your knowledge, your product know-how, its value in a much more friendly and connected way. Because podcasting is very intimate. It's a voice in your ears, hopefully like this is doing. And so people will continue to see you as a leader, especially if you're trying to be doing something that's, service-based, or if you're trying to demonstrate that your product, you're trying to develop that, like, there's a change in my customers and has come as a result. And it's awesome for people to be able to experience that in a personal way. So moving on to number 5. So according to Ahrefs, in 2022, most marketing teams opted to use video as their primary form of content. This was followed by blogs and images, respectively. This comes from HubSpot. So video is one of those things, like, everybody likes the idea of video, but when it comes to making the video, everybody gets a little bit squeamish because they realize how much it's going to take, and not everybody has, I'm going to call it the language of film, at their disposal. So a lot of things that they're wishing for, they don't have a good way of communicating what their desired outcome is. And then taking those words and emotions and desires as a business and translating those into a creative piece, there's a gap. And in that gap, there's a lot of miscommunication based off of what the business and management is trying to accomplish versus what the doers and creative production agencies are trying to do to meet those needs. So there's a gap. And in that gap is the gap of creative language. And this is something I've seen at jobs over and over again, is the creative language barrier that ends up being there. The falls in the path of the management's way, because they don't have words to express what they want, and the creative people who are making the videos are trying to meet those needs, but the marketer, the management, and people who are asking for the video don't have a way to translate that back and forth. Like, these people over here, the management, the business people, don't get the results they want because they're not giving the creative people the language that they need to be creative, right? So there's this mismatch alignment of outcomes. So the business people think, I need a video because video is cool and fun, and this is everything I'm being taught and understood at a management level. Video is the hip new thing. Well, video has been around for a long, long time. And the creative people are saying, I want to give you a creative video. I want you to fulfill all of your desires that you're expressing to me. And what ends up happening is that gap don't ever align, because this one's not talking to this one, this one's not talking to this one in the same language. So This group gets disappointed because the video doesn't perform as expected. It doesn't increase revenue X amount of dollars within a quarter. This group is disappointed because they went to go fulfill the needs of the projects they were told to accomplish, but they don't meet the expectations of the management. Well, the management hasn't experienced or expected the most important piece, which is video is a long-term process. Having a YouTube channel is a long-form content piece that never ends, right? You have to continually produce to establish that trust on that platform that leads then back into the business. Same thing with a podcast, right? So the creative people over here are happily fulfilling this, but the sustainability and project outcomes from management dwindle super hard. So I want to be producing videos continuously and focus on that platform, but management grows tired of it because they're not seeing the results right away. And according to Joe Polizzi and a lot of the work that he's doing at the Tilt and previously at Content Marketing Institute, investment in media, especially video and podcasting, it takes, in social media, anything like that, TikTok, anything, it takes a long time. There's no virality. It takes a long time for people to trust you with on a given platform. And so you have to make that commitment. Okay, if I'm gonna start video, okay, yeah, one-off video, yeah, you've essentially made a commercial, right? That commercial isn't going to change the nature of your business. But if you're consistently interested in producing for content marketing, you have to say, okay, I'm gonna need at least a year worth of videos, and I'm gonna make a video every day, every week, whatever the base of your company is, because you have to commit to supporting that relationship from the beginning. And you need buy-in from the management team to understand, like, you won't see outcomes for at least a year. And they have to be comfortable with that. And a lot of management isn't, because they're like, we need answers now. So, yes, I understand in 2022 everyone was hyped about video and blogs and images and things like that, but it's a full ecosystem that takes time. So again, we're going to go to HubSpot here. Number 6, it says 73% of people admit to skimming blog posts. Blog posts were designed to be skimmed, right? People have zero attention span because they're pulled in 100 million different directions. So what people want to see is like, I want to get right to the information. Give me it to me. It's because some people will read. So you need to give it to them. And I put this out in a link, a post yesterday. People, yes, they want to read the blog that's 5,000 words long, but at the same time, they need to be able to have a 5-minute version of a video that summarizes the same information. They need a 20-minute podcast of that exact same information in an audio format, because that information I need, okay, well, right now I have 5 minutes and I need that information now. So I need a video. I have a 20-minute commute in my drive. I need to have that answer for when I arrive to work. Awesome. 20-minute podcast. And that's the thing, is you don't need to tell the larger narrative, but you need to provide the answers in multiple media formats. So all of that information can also be like an email that gets sent out, or it can be downloaded as an infographic in a white paper. So you're producing you're solving one major piece of content problem for your customers, but you're providing them different ways to consume it, right? Like, think of it this way, like, we're going to go food analogy. So you have a cow. A cow is a beautiful creature, does all kinds of things, turns sunlight into energy, right? Essentially eating cow, grass and whatever. So what's the best part of a cow? Well, you ask that to any different person and they're going to say something different. So I love a steak. I love a brisket. I love oxtail soup. There's all the different things that I maybe think is the best part, and what I love could be totally different than the person who's next to me. So you've taken same thing. So apply this to a business. You have one big, beautiful piece of content that you've created. Now you'd be able to portion it up into the piece that somebody really loves. So if you're a video guy, you're going to really love a video. If you're a podcast person with a commute, you're going to love a podcast about that thing. You're still getting the same information. It's just presented in a way that is juicy and rich for me as my individual person. And customers appreciate that. You're not going to get 1 million downloads on your podcast about, tying shoestrings. But you may get 1 million views on your video about how to tie shoestrings, right? Or you may have, some English professor refer to your 5,000 word blog post about how to tie shoestrings, in a college course. You don't ever know when this stuff is going to show up. You have to be prepared to give a little bit of everything. And this ties into other things that people have been saying about content marketing, is that you can't be everywhere and do it really well. I agree and disagree with that. You can create one pillar piece of content and then break it up into other little things, and that allows you to kind of be everywhere. Are you fully engaged on every social media platform? Probably not, but you have a few key ones that maybe you are listening in on more actively. And those things are the things that kind of cumulatively, these little bits and pieces will add up to the larger picture of developing a customer, of attracting business, of growing relationships and maintaining customer relationships. Little tiny bites every single day of about supporting that customer experience are what matters most in content marketing, in business, right? It's every day showing up and giving them something that makes them go, ooh, oh, I just had that awesome M&M, Skittle, whatever. I don't need to eat a whole bag of it. I could if I wanted, it's available. But you know what? Every day I just want to be given that little kiss, mwah, chef's kiss of content that speaks to me, So, let's move on. My doggy over here is itching. So next one, 51% of businesses that invest in content marketing publish content every day. Now this is challenging because is it large scale content or is it posting on social every day? Well, if you're on social, you should be posting every day, right? Or at a consistent pace, equivalent to the needs of your business and the needs of your customers. So that's probably not a blog post every day. That's definitely not a video every day. A lot of this stuff takes time to produce and come up with and iterate and break down into repurposed pieces. So that one, okay, that one feels a little bit misleading. Is that content every day valuable, invaluable, juicy nuggets for your customers? Probably not. And I think that's something that people need to reckon with. You don't need to produce unbelievable filet mignon. We're on the food thing again. Every day, you need to be producing delicious barbecue burnt ends every day. It's just a bite. It's just enough to get you mouth-watering for the next big piece that may be coming up. So, number 8. Man, I forgot how many of these are. So this comes from the DG report, which I'm not familiar with, honestly. Demand gen report. Okay. 32% of respondents say they're overwhelmed by the amount of content available. Okay. But the majority, 44% of that 32%, typically consume 3 to 5 pieces of content before engaging with a vendor. Now, I've seen this in my past work experience very clearly. I was asked several times to bring on a new piece of technology into our tech stack, marketing tech stack. I was asked by management, I need you to do X, Y, and Z to see if we can use this. And they had never heard of it or consumed any of their content. But then when I was asked to essentially validate it, I consumed 4 to 5 pieces every day to figure out if it was worthwhile. And then I would use a demo product or a sales call or something for me to figure out is it worth it? And then I have to drag my ass to management and say, yeah, this is worth it, or why are we even bothering? So I can see how yes, maybe this is true, but engaging with a vendor, meaning that you have to have the content available and ready. So you have to have a backlog, and you have to be solving the questions for them to get engaged with a vendor. So this is a little bit of a split. Like 32% of respondents say that they're overwhelmed with content. Okay, that means you've probably, yes, you did have the content, but did you provide a smooth journey through that content? Did you provide them a custom route? But of those people who did consume that content, they felt like they needed to consume 3 to 5 to get to the point where they're like, okay, I feel like these guys know what they're talking about. So it's kind of interesting, like that way, understanding the customer journey. All right, I'm going to take a quick sip. Okay. When it comes to preferred mediums for learning about a product or service, Wizzy Owl, again, I'm not familiar, creators animated explainer videos. Okay. Learning about a product, 73% response preference to short video. 11% prefer text-based articles. Again, like I was talking about, like you have to have a mix. You have to have solving questions that your customers may have with multiple media types. Okay, here we go. This is from CMI again. 81% of marketers view content as a core business strategy. That is so true. It has to be. Okay, so that rounds up her list here at Hrefs. And they've pulled this from other surveys and things like that. So kind of interesting. Kind of gives you a snapshot of kind of where things are. Hrefs does a great job of their content marketing and putting a lot of stuff out there. So it's interesting to see and happy that they kind of put this out there. You know, everybody wants fresh eyes for 2023. The world is changing. Lots of things going on. So I think a lot of people are just uncertain what's next, you know. So they're looking for these kinds of quick hit answers that maybe producing content would be like the most valuable thing I could do. And I agree with them. It's a long-term play. It's a much longer take on what you have to do to find success. And the kind of success that you're looking for is customer trust and holding customer attention so that you're always top of mind because you're familiar. You're a trusted brand because of exposure. You're always around. You're always available. So that is my take on the Ahrefs statistics for 2023. I saw this tweet come up from Jeremy Enns. He works at the Podcast Marketing Academy. He's kind of a solopreneur who's teaching podcasting. He kind of shared this out, and I saw it, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So an illustration for improving your show's discoverability on your own platforms, which is always great. You need to be self-promoting yourself all the time. So I thought that was very interesting. And it came in the form of this bingo card. Let me see if I can zoom out a bit. So this is from, initially, the podcast space, which is Anna and growing your podcast strategy and stuff. So I thought this was really fun. It was like, oh, it popped up. It's bright. It really catches your attention. Everybody loves bingo. Let's pay. Where is your podcast? And so I thought, wow, you know, this was a really interesting take. I love the bingo concept. You know, everybody understands what that is. And remove those barriers. And you're like, oh, okay, where does my podcast show up? Does it show up in your email signature? On your business cards? Does it show up in your LinkedIn features section? Does it show up in your social media? Your website menu? Your bio document or your speaker document? Your homepage on your website? Your book? Does it show up in your book? Or in your newsletter? And I can say this from experience, from producing podcasts with other companies in this last job I was at. Even the people in the podcast who are hosts, who are excited to be doing this podcast, don't have it on their email signature, don't have it on their business cards, don't even have it on their LinkedIn, don't have it on their social media, or even share when the live episodes go out. It wasn't on the website. It was buried 10 miles deep. Stuff like that, like you're doing your disservice. The whole point of having a podcast is to nurture those customer relationships that you already have and get other people to trust you and to be familiar with you. But you're doing yourself a disservice, 100% a disservice, if you're not putting yourself out there, even in a subliminal way, right? So having it in your email signature. How many times do you send an email? Does all of your company that you work for send an email? Wouldn't that be an easy and awesome way to like kind of just get a little bit of promotional bump out there? Have a direct link to your podcast, because tons of people listen to podcasts all the time. I know people who listen to podcasts all day long. You know, imagine you sit down at your shift and you're listening to podcasts. You've got 8 hours of podcast to fill. You know, are you meeting their needs? And are you helping them discover that you have a podcast? So I thought it was super interesting, like with a business card, totally throw on like a QR code link that goes to your podcast. Because if you're at a physical event, you have a physical card, assuming, right? You give someone your card. If it has a QR code that says, listen to the latest episode of Live from the Compass Tower. Boom. Someone can go, oh, that's neat. Snap. Okay, cool. And now I'm on my phone, right? Yes, I'm at a physical event. And yes, you could do the whole QR code, you know, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever thing. But that doesn't get them directly to the content that you're interested in providing for them, because that's providing them value instantly. So a business card with a QR code linking directly to your podcast, killer way to do it, right? I've seen that. I've seen people with stickers, you know, like that's really interesting. Okay, now I'm going to jump to the social media and the LinkedIn profiles. Having your content show up in those sections, super valuable, really interesting. Because let's say someone sees something you tweet, they're going to go to your bio, hopefully. And if you're on your bio, it's like you have no links to anywhere relevant or somewhere that's personable or helpful. People kind of bounce off and they go, oh, okay, like I do. You know, like I go, oh, who's Podcast Space? Well, I just hover and go, oh, it's Anna from Podcast Space. Oh, end of story. That's it. You know, I don't have like this one, Podcast Growth School. I'm like, oh, okay, that leads me on to the next piece and the next piece. You want to lead them into somewhere where you can capture their attention, provide them value, right? Website menu. I mean, you should have it on your website. You should have it on your homepage. Always be offering what you're producing. And then on top of that, what you're producing, you need to be able to link that and share that in other places. I saw a really interesting video on LinkedIn this morning, and unfortunately I didn't pull it up, but they were talking about podcasting, making those social posts. You see those kind of like audiogram podcast snippets a lot on social media. Well, people will post a snippet with the little like waveforms going bzz, bzz, bzz. People who post those, like, that's not helping people discover your podcast, right? You're just saying, people, I want you to drop everything you're doing and go move over. And I'm guilty of this too. I want you to move over to a different platform and participate in something completely different on a whim. And here's a link. It's tough. It's really tough because these platforms want you to stay on the platforms. So by providing a link and cutting those little audio Instagram pieces, like the audiogram pieces with the waveforms, like you're doing your production a disservice, and you're not providing a great listener experience for people who are on, let's say, a LinkedIn or a Twitter or a Facebook or whatever. It's a terrible TikTok thing. So what you should be doing, and this is, I wish I could credit, I missed it. I should have credited this person. But they said the best thing to be doing is taking the most interesting, most valuable snippets and providing those on the social platforms after the fact, and add to that conversation. Say, are you having this problem? Here's our solution. Are you interested in entertainment? Here's the most entertaining clip. Are you interested in, you know, sharing some valuable piece of information? Well, here's our most valuable clip from our last show. You know, and providing it on a native platform in a native situation, and people will naturally be interested, be like, oh, that was actually quite helpful. I'm going to go discover further episodes. So then go to your bio, and you should have a link in your bio, you know, a link tree or something like that. So you always have to remember, like, a lot of the content stuff that you're producing is going to live on a lot longer than you're anticipating. you're maybe looking for a social post now. Well, that social post is actually going to be living on, depending on the platform, be living on for quite some time, weeks and weeks. And it creates this living backlog of content that people can discover. So this last year, I went to the Creator Economy Expo first event here in Phoenix, and there was an interesting gentleman that I cannot remember his name. He was a generalist kind of podcast guy, and he interviews people about all kinds of different topics. He's not very specific on what topics he covers. It's just interviewing interesting people. And he said on his website, he uses like kind of topic paths, I want to call them. So if I'm interested in like science, okay, well, I'm going to go to his website, and he says, if you're in love with science, click here. And it kind of lists out all of the episodes that could be science type related. Or if I'm legal, okay, well, if you're interested in law stuff or talking to politicians, here's a politicians track or a political landscape track. And it lists out. So you're creating these kind of like little micro eco zones for people to experience the podcast the best. And a lot of the times, this is always amazing to me, is the first episode, the one you very first release, is one of the most downloaded podcast episodes of all time. Now, it doesn't matter what podcast show, people will always go like, you know what? I really enjoyed the latest episode about sandwich making, or my D&D adventure game. People will go, I love this so much, I really want to enjoy more of this, but I've exhausted the latest one. I'm going to go back to the beginning. Well, I'm going to go back 300 episodes or 50 episodes or 2 episodes ago, and I'm going to start my journey there. Well, your first episode better be the damnedest best one, because people are always going to be going back there. And sometimes you need to provide that. And this gentleman at the conference said that. I always provide a link. Okay, here's our very first episode. Start your journey there. If you're that determined, start at the beginning and you work your way forward, because people will do it. And people could burn through 8 episodes in a day, 10 episodes in a day, depending on what you're doing. So keep that in mind. Like, everybody's starting their journey in a different spot than you're anticipating, but you need to provide the best listening customer journey for them all along the way. So there's been other times I've heard another great kind of trick is, especially with D&D is very popular. You take, let's say you do episode chunks. So every 10 episodes, create like a little like refresher. Like, here's everything that happened 10 episodes ago. And it's a quick, short kind of snippet bit story element. Here's everything that we've talked about in the last 10 episodes. Here's where we're going, in the next 5 episodes. And kind of give like these little teaser trailers that live in your podcast feed, but it's for people who are playing catch up, going back from 1 to 300, 500, 10,000, whatever, going backward, forward, playing into those kind of like Netflixy, like, are you still watching? Here's what happened last time kind of moments. And you can put those into your feed. It helps give you a little bit of buffer room if you need more buffer room, or an evergreen episode. So it's a really interesting kind of take on how to continue to tell the story and support your customers along the way. So very interesting, very cool, nice way to think about it. So that was Podcast Bingo. All right, I wanted to provide, and I hope everybody listens to this podcast. It's one of those ones that I really enjoy. Let me zoom in just a bit so you can kind of see. This is a podcast that I enjoy listening to. It comes out every Friday. It's with Joe Polizzi and Robert Rose from the content marketing kind of gurus out there. They started CMI and other things, and very interesting guys, and they're kind of fun and goofy, and I enjoy listening to their kind of take on things every Friday. And this episode, the one that just came out today, right? I listened to it this morning early on. They did a special behind the scenes episode of Thistle Marketing. So inside Joe and Robert's business models, because they also have businesses that they run outside of this podcast. This isn't the money maker essentially for them. And Joe Polizzi was talking about how he started the Tilt, which is his content business about making content. And he kind of broke down his business model over what has been the last 2 years and now into year 3. And his take is that it takes about 17 months for content creators to see their significant dollars enough to support themselves. And Robert's business model is he works as a content consultant at enterprise level type things. And hearing them talk about their business models put a little bit of fear into me starting this whole thing. Because, like Joe Polizzi's thing, he said he was not they lost money for 2 solid years about trying to start the Tilt, and they've retilted and redefined their audience and redefined the stuff they're producing and what their revenue generators are. And it got me a little bit nervous because he said that the space that they were initially trying to target, which is content creators through education courses and live events and trainings, he said they started that up and started working on that, and immediately they had to pivot because there was a ton of competition in the space that suddenly just sprang up, and it was enough for them to be like, okay, we totally have to change how we're doing. So they've changed into a sponsorship revenue model where they're going to be producing content and then they're gathering sponsorships to help. That's what's essentially going to be their paychecks, but they're targeting the creator economy type audience and entrepreneurs and people. He calls them second career creators, who are people like me. And this is why I think it spoke to me so good, is because people like me who have had many careers and now want to do the creator thing because they're tired of working for people. And I was like, oh, that's me. I fall into that boat real hard. But he said, targeting those people, there's a ton of people who are targeting those people. And it's hard to stand out because there are so many. So it was tough for me to be able to go, well, I'm targeting marketers. Well, lots of people target marketers. Lots of people. And I thought, oh. And I thought, no, I'm going to stick to my guns because I'm the only person who's talking about marketing on Twitch. And I'm happy for you to join my live stream here. So that makes me a unique take. But then people don't come to Twitch to watch business. People come to Twitch to be entertained, to watch the latest games and, fun things that are going on in the world. But it's funny because, like, I know there's people out there who are like me, who are like, find this interesting and fascinating, and hopefully I'm a good personality trait influence, because a lot of the categories, like, I've picked IRL, just chatting, co-working and business and marketing, there's not a lot of people out there who are talking about it. And so that gives me an edge because I'm talking to people, yeah, you're going to Twitch to watch the latest and greatest, but hopefully you're sticking around to watch me explain and I can help you solve your problems. And it's really fun to do for me, and I like to be able to share my creative output. And then Robert Rose, he had an interesting take. His business heavily relies on consulting gigs, and he said that in-person consulting has dropped to, it used to be like the majority of his business, which was like 60%, I think he said. And because of the pandemic and travel and everything like that, like in-person consulting dropped to like 5% of his business. So they've transitioned into doing virtual consulting, he says, but it makes it really difficult because to get the impact that you're looking for and the personal relationships that you're looking for as a consultant, it's hard to do over like a Zoom because you don't have that personal interaction that develops those relationships beyond. And that got me a little bit nervous again because I'm like, well, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to be providing services and work for people who need my help, who are solo marketers and marketing teams who need outside input. And I don't want to travel, but I want to be able to do the work and be able to consult with people, help them make better content choices for their businesses. And I was like, man, that's 2 business models down the drain that I was kind of looking forward to. So now what? So I'm kind of reevaluating, and it's a bit of a challenge because I know things are tough out there and people are getting squeezed for money, and and me too. And I want to bring help and people together so that we can not feel squeezed, like feel strong as entrepreneurs and marketers and learn from each other. So I thought that was just an interesting take, and it was such a personal hit, I think, of like I'm on the right path. I feel like I know what I'm doing, and I know how to do it, and I know I want to do it, but the financial realities of it could be a little bit daunting. So such an interesting take for me, especially this morning. So I wanted to just put it out there and see what everyone thinks and kind of share. I like listening to this podcast. They talk about football a ton. I don't care. So I kind of fast forward through those pieces. But when they get to the meaty, juicy topics, that's the part that I'm like interested in. So that's my take. We're going to go here and talk about Compass Tower for just a minute. If you will please humor me. So as part of this week, I'm determined I'm going to produce some digital products that people can download, and I'm going to make a few freebies. Hopefully today I can make another one. But I wanted to make a checklist because a lot of the things that I want to help people simplify, and that's part of my mantra, is helping people make stuff easier, is one of the things I run into is email marketing. A lot of people are like, we need to send an email. Like, okay, well, why? Well, they don't have an answer. They just know they're being asked to send an email. We need to bump up sales. We need to contact our customers. We need to do. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take all those problems that I've experienced over my many years of doing email marketing. And email's super powerful. It's getting to the people, but you can make it better. You can make it a better customer experience. You can make it a much more interesting, like, part of their daily experience. Email is so powerful. So I wanted to make a quick checklist, and I wanted to kind of run through this with everybody, and you can kind of tell me what you think, because I think it's super powerful. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are struggling with email marketing because they're like, it's just one thing. Like, I just need to get it out, throw it off my plate, and stop thinking about it. And that's what happens. There's no follow-up. There's no follow-through. So here's my quick take and checklist on what I think is really critical for email marketing. And here's the quick summary. What's the reason? Like, why are you sending this email? And you can download this on the Compass Tower website. I'll provide a link, and you can kind of download it for free. I'm going to do one. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. Here we go. What's the reason for the email? Are you just being asked to send it? Are you trying to generate leads? What are you trying to do? Like, is doing a webinar announcement? Event? What are you trying to accomplish? Like, think really about, like, what's the reason and who's this going to and why? And if you can help answer those questions before you start making the email and sending stuff, like, it'll help simplify, like, the content. Because I think a lot of people are afraid, like, I'm going to email this and it's going to go out to so many people and I need to shove everything in it. Like, I need the whole kitchen sink. Well, my take is each email needs to be on one subject, have one call to action, and go to one specific buyer. Right? And that's the thing that I think is really critical, is a lot of people are not focused with their emails because they're trying to accomplish so much with one piece of content. And I call it content because an email is content. You're producing something in a contained system and delivering it. That's a piece of content. Right? So the most important thing you can think of when you're doing these initial stages is, if I was to receive this, what's in it for me? Right? What's in it for your customer? What are you hoping to get them out of it? What action do you want them to take? And that's exactly where I start. I want readers to feel informed, entertained, seen, connected, inspired. You want to feel urgency. And now I phrase it this way. I want my readers to feel, because, I know this sounds cheesy, but your readers, your email people who are opening the emails need to feel something. Like, because emotion is going to be driving that next action. And you need them to do something. It's not just, I'm going to inform them. Inform them to do what? What's the next step? You need to be able to get them to feel something so that they'll feel inspired to do something. So, for example, I have a weekly newsletter. I need them to trust me, to hire me as their consultant. Well, if you're sending that weekly email, I need them to feel informed with the latest and greatest information. So I need them to feel knowledgeable, feel like they have something to share in the office, feel like they've learned something. So that's all content pieces, right? But what are you asking them to do now that they feel informed? Do you want to have them feel informed enough to be like, wow, that guy really knows what he's talking about. I should hire him. Or I want them to feel like he's my trusted source about fly fishing. Maybe I should hire him to be my fishing guide. Things like that. Same thing. It's always going to be thinking about emotion. If you're trying to drive a sale, I'm going to tell a quick story. On one of my previous jobs I worked at, we would send promotional emails about auction items. This is the sports memorabilia place. We would send emails to 200,000 people 3 times a day, which is honestly insane, because the open rates were very high because people wanted to see what items were kind of up for sale. And I get that, like, that's great, but you're sending them 3 different emails 3 times a day. And it's like, wait a minute, like, how much is honestly actually changing throughout the day? Not much, right? But we were sending to the same list, and it was one giant ass list. So we went to some event, and we had a big booth there, and people were lining up, and I was the video guy, and I had people come up to me like, hey, do you know who does the emails? And I said, oh, that's me. They're like, why are you sending 3 emails? It's too many, way too many. I'm like, I know. I said, I'm new. I'm the new guy. I'm just getting started. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and I'm trying to make it better. I want better customer experiences. And there was this old guy, and he's like, look, I really appreciate that, but you guys got to stop. Like, I want to see what's coming up, but once a day. And I was like, I totally get it. So I went to the owner, and I said, look, I'm having people stop me here at this event where we have this big booth and crowd gathering, and people are telling me to stop sending emails. Like, do you understand? Like, we're getting one-on-one customer feedback right now. And he's like, you know what? They can go stick it in their ear because I'm going to do it my way, and I'm just paying you to do it. And I'm like, yeah, but if you want a better customer experience and people to buy more, you kind of got to tone it down. Just at least be steady with it. Like, once a day, have them break up into different groups. Like, I love baseball memorabilia, so maybe I should sign up for the baseball group. And he's like, no, I'm not interested. I'm going to email 200,000 people, and I'm going to email them 3 times a day. And there was sometimes I would send 4 emails. Like, there was a monthly auction that was like the premium auction. And honestly, those poor people got so many stinking emails, and I felt bad doing it. And I tried to push back, and to no avail. And I think the biggest learning curve for me was trying to get people to understand that the piece that was the most interesting for them was the customized content. They're like, they wanted to see, but it didn't matter because the owner was like, I don't care what they want to see. I want this. So, like, I remember I was talking about earlier, like, there's the business side of things and there's the creative side of things. And sometimes there's that gap where they're not matching up. And a lot of that, it comes down to customer experience. Yes, the business wants business revenue, things to change, people to take action. And there's the creative side of like, okay, well, this is the customer interface interaction, and this is the customer trust. And sometimes those don't line up. So I tried really hard to get people to understand how to do that better. And you really have to push. And I felt like I was pushing in the right way. And I was telling customers, like, I see you, I hear what you're saying. And a lot of it didn't fall through. So you need to match customer expectation with your email delivery, and we'll talk about that in a second here. So the next piece for this checklist is email subject line, the from line, inbox snippet, and lists. These are all kind of like behind the scenes technical things, but the most important thing that you need to take away is like, if I receive this, is it going to stand out in someone's inbox? Because let's say someone has 1 million emails. I mean, not 1 million, but like, let's say someone has 100 emails that pop in. What are you doing to stand out? And it needs to be short, quick, to the point, and it needs to come from someone familiar. Like we did a test at this last place I was talking about with the auction house. We did a test where it came from the auction house, and the open rate was 25%. Still okay, but not huge for them. And then we sent out an email as the owner's name. Same email, technical email address. It was like info at blah, blah, blah. But it had the from name be the owner's name. And the open rate jumped to like 75%. And because he never ever sent emails, and people recognized his name though, because he was kind of all over the place. So I'm like, do you see how valuable this is? And he's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, you just had like a tripling of the open rate and you don't want to do it. He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, never mind. But anyways, understanding how those things like affect how customers take action will help your emails perform better. Understanding it's a personal interaction. They've invited you in, and if you're not delivering on the promise that you've put in the headline, people get annoyed. People unsubscribe. People send spam flags, and that's going to hurt your distribution lists. And the other thing about distribution lists is you have to put in a lot of work to keep those clean, tight, and if people aren't interacting with your emails, they're not worth emailing. So pull them out. Pull them out as a marketing contact. Like, don't force it. And if they don't want to participate, they probably signed up to get a coupon and don't want it anymore. They got what they wanted. So do them a favor and unsubscribe, or try and re-engage them. Okay, so for the email body, this is like the meat and potatoes. You need to be really like super aware. Like if you're going to be sending an email, it needs to be, like I said, one topic, one call to action, and one emotion, right? You need to get them to do a thing, one thing, learn a thing, do a thing. And I've been at jobs, especially this last job, where we would have lawyers write 3-4 pages worth of content about a specific thing. Okay, so they had that right. They had the one topic, but the delivery that they were trying to provide was enormous. That doesn't match the needs of the people who are trying to get the email. It should have been, and again, I tried to push for this and it didn't work out, is like we had this one guy who was a tax lawyer, and he had a very active list, so people wanted to hear from him. And he would write about one topic in his emails, which was great. So he's got 2 out of 3. Okay, 0 call to action, but he would write these mammoth tax-heavy documents and put them in an email. And I'd be like, look, like this is 12 pages in a Word document. Why don't we put that in a PDF and people can click to download it, or we can put it on the blog and people can read it there. Do not send 12 pages in a document to like an email address. You can provide a way for customers to be like, oh, so-and-so's talking about something I find valuable. I'm glad I signed up for this list. What action do I want to take? I want to read it. I want to go to the website. I want to download the PDF. I want the white paper or whatever. Give them a reason to interact and provide on the promise that you asked for. So email bodies are super powerful if you do them right and give people what they're asking for, and remind themselves, like, I am glad I signed up for this. Buttons and emails and images, things like that need to be clear. One call to action. Can your email survive if the images don't load? I've seen a lot of emails before where it loads up. Someone's made this beautiful graphic, and depending on how your settings are, that image doesn't load. Now your email is just essentially a gray blob of nothing. I understand you spent a lot of time in the graphic designs making the email, but you need to understand that if that image did not pop up, could the content of that email still survive? And a lot of times people don't take that into account. You know, I've seen beautiful sales emails from, you know, like my wife gets them from Ulta, and sometimes the image doesn't show up. And it's like, well, what am I looking at? Nothing. It's just because it's just a single image and a button that says 20% off. You know, it's like, okay, I see what they're trying to do, but you failed the point of providing exciting value to the person. Can you do it? Can you tell a story without? Can you inspire action without an image? You should be able to. Technicalities, a lot of, okay, story time. I've been to several jobs now, where I show up and I'm like, okay, you want me to send this email, but like we're clearly not GDPR compliant. And they're like, what's that? And And I'm like, it's 2020, it's 2018, 20. I mean, like, honestly, like, several jobs now, and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, what? How are you not GDPR compliant? Like, you have to be. Like, a lot of the platforms, you must. You know, you have to have an unsubscribe link. You have to have the physical address of the business. You have to give them opportunities to opt out. You have to provide, like, security details and a disclaimer. Like, there's things that you have to provide as a minimum. Like, and now with the California privacy laws in place, and ideally, hopefully, like, soon, US privacy laws, if you're not compliant with those, like, people can report you and you can get fined and all sorts of things. Like, it's not very common and it's hard to prove, but understanding how your lists and those laws apply to your emails, you need to be compliant. You have to be, because I've shown up and they're like, well, we don't really know how to do that. And I'm like, oh man, like, you have to be. Okay. So that's the checklist. Here's the thing that I think is really interesting. Let's say you've gone through this checklist. Okay, that you've made the email, you've sent the email, you're really happy with the email. Open rates are great, click-through rates are great. What are you doing with this particular premise to make it easier for next time? You have to think about that, because if you're producing a lot of emails, you want to simplify the process. And the best thing you can do, and I'm going to make this really honest, the best thing you can do is use templates, do the pre-work before, know that, okay, I have in my pool of banking, if I have in my bank, I can immediately pull out an event invite, I can pull out a sales email, I can pull out an internal email, I can pull out a reminder or a promotional or an automatic string of emails, like a welcome chain. Knowing all of that, how to make it better, how to improve it, that's how you increase your efficiency as a solo entrepreneur, as a solo marketer. Understanding the systems and being like, okay, what pre-work can I do now to save myself 10, 15, 20 minutes in the future? Because every little action that you can remove to clean up things is only going to make stuff going in the future going better. It's going to get better because you've taken the active steps to clean it up now. And repeatability. It's all about repeatability and removing the barriers that made this one hard. What can I do to make things easier next time? So if you're feeling overwhelmed, like, that's a lot. Like, I just dumped a ton of information on you. If that's too much, I would love to talk to you about how to make things simpler and easier and more straightforward. That's one of the things I love doing, is looking at the systems that people have and thinking, oh man, I'm so stuck. No, you're not stuck. It's just you've made it hard on yourself. Don't do that. Make it so easy on yourself. Like, oh, I need to send an email. Okay, I know I can blast that out in 20 minutes because I'm prepared. I have things what I need. I have things already sized. I have an anticipated lists prepared. You know, like, there would be times when I would ask, like, Brady, this is an emergency. We got to get this out. I'm like, yeah, it'll be done in an hour. Like, I have everything ready. I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go? And a lot of times they'd be like, oh, well, no. Well, don't come to me until you're ready to go, because I've done my job. I've done the pre-work. You need to do the pre-work now too. And a lot of it came down to, like, we need approvals. Well, don't come to me saying we need to get this out now, because I can get it out now, right? You come to me when it's already approved and ready to go, and then we'll go, because it will happen fast. And I think that's one of the things that I love to do, is be like, you know what? You want it done? Done. This is done. Take it off your plate. Move on. Right? You're going to get results. Move on. But I actually got written up at work for being too fast. And it's like, I'm sorry? Like, does the Domino's delivery guy get scolded for being fast? No, I don't think so. Like, that kind of stuff. Like, I pride myself in being able to get it done fast because I know how to do it. I know how to remove those barriers. And if you need help with that, I'm happy to do that. Or if you want me to do it, I'm happy to do that too. So reach out to me at compass-tower.com. I'm happy to do anything that you need me to do. Podcasting, live streams, videos, email campaigns, social media, website management, things like that. I'm happy to do and be able to help you anytime. So that's what I have today. If you would like this free checklist guide that I've created, reach out to me, send a comment on my LinkedIn profile or my Twitter profile, send a comment in the contact me section of the website. I'd be happy to send this to you and talk more about what I can do for you. Ideally, what I would like to do is probably in the next week or two, I want to have one that's about marketing emails, video creation, live streaming, podcasting. I just had a brain fart. What's the fifth one? Live streaming, podcasting, email creation, video creation, all that stuff. Like, have some free guides I can give people because I want to help people. And checklists are fun and easy. And you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Okay, check, done, boom. And it's just give you a little bit of thoughts about what can be done and how to be done and how to make it easy. Because you're asked to do a lot as a marketer, so let's make it easy. So that's what I have for today. It's been fun. I love doing this with everybody. I love being able to kind of like get out there and talk with everybody. And thank you for joining me here at the Compass Tower. I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I think I'm just going to be posting this VOD. This one's been kind of a rambly bit. And then I will record some videos over the weekend that I can then share to the YouTube page. You can find me on YouTube. Just search Compass Tower Marketing. You can watch the clips there. But I'll put the VOD up there. I'll put all of the... I want to make some new video clips, and I can see if I can figure out the shorts thing and get it out and share with you guys and help everybody connect. And I really, really appreciate it. So thank you. And we'll see everybody next week. Live from the Compass Tower, this has been Brady. See you soon. Thanks.